SWG Jewellery channel. Welcome subscribers, new subscribers and people who just popped in to watch. If you could please like, comment, share and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are notified when I release new videos or go live, I would be grateful. Today we are making a double strand cha-cha bracelet with July's Bargain Bead Box ice cream shop or ice cream shoppe. So first of all, let's pick a card from the You've Got This inspiration quotes. So let's open the box and pull out a card. So let's put the card down and close the box up and let's see what the quote says. So it says, I am who I am. So that is meaning, right, you are who you are and just be you. So be who you are. And that is that. So we've got a load of beautiful beads on this mat. And as you can see, I have started off the first strand. Right, and as you can see, we've got some kiwi jasper, we've got some cherry quartz, we've got some, what they called, 4mm crystal faceted round beads, and we've got some mint crackle beads in a 6mm for the dangles. Right, so that is the first ones we are going to do. So let's get a head pin. Right, as you can see, my fingers are very taped up, so this might be a little painful to do. I had an incident where I hit a curb, right, because there's a couple of incidents. I hit a curb and I came off it with my wheelchair sideways. Right, so I'll finish explaining that in a sec. So first of all, we're going to bend this right at the bead. So chomp down. Ow, ow, ow. Right, so it's bent right at the bead. I'm going to put it right up to our finger. Right, because our finger is a great measuring tool to get 1/4 inch. Right, and we're going to cut it off by holding the wire. Right, and basically my wheelchair fell off the curb, so I've ended up loads of bruises on the back of my leg. That's how I first did my arm. So now we are going to get the tip of the round nose pliers. Sorry, let me pull back into the screen, and then we're going to roll the wire back to make a simple loop. Right, and how I actually did my fingers was I hit what we call a drop curb, which wasn't quite a drop curb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this neck slightly, and then I'm going to roll this properly and roll this a bit more to close up the loop, and just straighten this up, and then to make sure these are going in the same direction, I'm going to get my pliers. I'm just going to twist them. So there's our first one we've got to do. Then how I did my fingers is I hit the drop curb, and the drop curb was raised up slightly by about 1 inch, which it shouldn't have been. And I got flung out my wheelchair and I landed on my fingers, and my fingers got bent back. So I damaged my fingers quite badly. I've also damaged my wrist and my arm. So this is quite painful to do, but I still wanted to show you a beautiful video. So again, we're going to chomp down. Right, we're going to again do 1/4 inch with the with the loops, this time we want the loops going in opposite directions, but surprisingly enough, I've actually done them in the same direction. So we are going to twist them with the use of the pliers in a minute. And again, we're going to roll back. I think I've cut that a little short. Yes, I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to grab another eye pin. Sometimes I misjudge the length of my cuttings. So this time I'm actually going to want these going in opposite directions. So I'm going to chomp down, cut this. So we've got 1 inch of wire. There we go, that's a bit more like 1 inch of wire. More rather than the 1/4 inch of wire I left before. And again, I am going to notch it back, break the neck. I think I need to move my camera a bit closer to me so that I don't keep going off camera. So I do apologise if I've just given you seasickness moving my camera. So there we go, we've got a simple loop, right, with one loop going towards us. Let's just make sure that is actually the case. So we want one loop going towards us, one going away from us, and that's our end one. So now we want a cha-cha beads, which we've got one set already in place. So let's open the jump ring for this one. So let's find it. Find the gap in the jump ring. There it is. I'm actually going to pull you down a bit. Pull you down a bit, pull you towards me a bit. Right, so we're going to open the jump ring and making sure our beads stay on the bottom, we're going to attach the Kiwi Jasper. And there we go. Alright, so now we're going to do a little bit of wire wrapping before we do anything else. So we've got 2 beads we need to wire wrap. As you can see, we've got 2 red beads wire wrapped, and we've got 2 of the crystals wire wrapped, and we've got 1 mint crackle glass wire wrapped. So we're going to wrap one of the mint crackle glass. We're going to wire wrap one of them. So we're going to wire wrap one of them. Sorry about my really horrible nails. They are terrible. But I don't like cleaning my hands before I do live because we're going to be using beading wire. So we're going to bend over the top of the pliers, so it leaves a gap. Then we're going to put around those pliers in. We're going to go up and over the pliers, changing bottom to top, and go underneath and centre. Good, centre, that's a bit better. So just roll it a bit to centre it. Then get a bent chain nose pliers, hold on to the loop with our bent chain nose pliers, and get our chain nose pliers and that down towards the bead. So we want to go round, letting go as we go round. I'm just going to straighten up that neck. So that neck's a bit straighter. Double check how loose the bead is. Right, I could go around probably one more time. Which I need to hold on to that loop a little tighter. My grip's not quite as good as it should be since I'm minus a couple of fingers. And then cut off. Get where you want to cut off. And then hold. So nothing goes flying. Then use your pliers to push in. And as you see, there's a little burr just here. This is what you want to push in. Then we want to straighten up our neck. Because my neck is really, really unstraight. It's as crooked as anything. Right, so there's the neck done. So then we're going to get crystal. Put it on. Bend over the top of the pliers. So it's like that. We'll come away from the camera a bit so it's not so fuzzy. Up and over. Rotate top to bottom and underneath. And again, always event chain those pliers. You chain those pliers and wrap down towards your bead. Making sure you let go as you're wrapping. So your wrap is nice and neat. There we go. And again, mark where you want to cut off. And cut. Then again, push in your burr. So we've got all them wrapped. Right, we're gonna get everything straight in place. So we've got everything on the same side, which can take some doing. We just want to make sure everything's straight before we put on the next bit, before we put the next bead on. So we make sure everything's going on the same side. Right, so I think that's about right. Right, so there we go, that's straight. So now we want to grab our next jump ring, which if I remember rightly is this jump ring. Yep. Right, so we want to grab our jump ring, find a gap in our jump ring. Right, grab both our pliers. Open up our jump ring. Attach it attach it to our bead. Then we want to put on a green. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hold this with my pliers so you can actually see better what I'm doing. So you want to put on a green bead, and then 3 red beads, then a green bead, and then you want to put on your cherry quartz, and then you want to close your jump ring, making sure it's closed properly. Alright, so making sure this stays straight, you want to get your connector. So this connector, you want to open your loop and attach it to the connector. And make sure it's closed really well. Alright, so there we go. Don't know why I've got those jump rings out because I don't need them. So that is the top strand complete. So let me zoom you out a little bit. So that's our bottom strand complete. So now we're going to bead up this strand, alright, which will go in line with this strand and be connected to our connector. Okay, so let's get our beading wire, and what we're using is we're using the dark blue lapis 0.019 beading wire, and what I've got is I've got a bead stopper up next to the spool. So what we're going to do is we're using as I was saying, firecracker agate in 10mm and 8mm rose quartz English cut round beads. That is what we're using for this strand. So let's start with a rose quartz bead, and how beautiful are these beads. I love English cut beads, I really do. They are beautiful, and these beads have got such beautiful patterning on them. Right, they're absolutely gorgeous. Let me get this strand into frame as I'm stringing it. Right, I just think both of these beads are so gorgeous and so complementary to the strand that they are going above. Absolutely stunning. This is going to make an absolutely gorgeous double strand bracelet. And we've even got a cluster of the crystal faceted beads in the cherry red to go on the end of the bracelets. To go on the end that the clasp is on. So now we've got all those lovely beads. We're going to use some we're going to use a silver crimp from Softflex to crimp it directly onto the connector. So let's put that crimp. Oh, sorry, knocking you guys into the next millennium. So let's put that through and get the crimp tube up. So we're pulling it up and putting it through the crimp tube. And pulling the crimp tube down. We're not going to make it too tight, but we're not going to make it too loose. So it's got some movements, but not too much movements. So let me get my crimping pliers. I'm using bog standard crimping pliers. I'm using the bog standard crimpers. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the back notch and centre it and squeeze down. So as you can see, it puts a dimple in it. So let me make sure that's very dimpled. Then we're going to turn it 90 degrees and put it in the front notch and push down. And we're just going to round that out a bit. Right, give it a good tug. As you can see, it's very tightly done. And we're going to cut off the excess wire because we don't need that, because it doesn't make a difference whether you got it or not. But if you choose to feed it through the beads, that's your choice. Right, so now we're going to feed that down. As you can see, it's the same length as the beads that we've got. Right, because this one is our last one in the chain. Right, so let me double check the exact length, because that's actually, yep. I'm going to have to add a couple of jump rings to this end once I've cut this off and made the length, just so that we've got exactly the right length. But that's what happens when you're using different size beads. So now we're going to crimp the other end. So now let's crimp the other end. Right, what I'm doing, I'm not sure if you can see, is I'm putting them into a slight circle so that they don't get too tight. We don't end up with a crunchy crimp, because no one wants a crunchy crimp. Alright, so I made a loop. Alright, so we've got a little loop on the end. Get my crimping tool, put it in the back notch, crimping it down so we get a crimp, then 90 degrees, putting it in the front notch and crimping it down, giving it a bit of a round, and then give it a good tug. Yep, that's crimped. And then I'm cutting off the excess wire because we don't need it. Right, so now let's see the length of that against the other one. So let me find the jump ring. Right, now, it's always hard when you've got a jump ring on the end that's got stuff on it. I'm going to have to add a large jump ring on the end. So we've got a large jump ring here. So we've got 2 pliers. So this is a little bit of a design on the go. So open that up. Make sure our dangles stay on the bottom. Otherwise it won't be a cha-cha bracelet otherwise. And close the jump ring. And that gives us our length. Right? Just make sure that's alright. So give me a second. So now, for the end, we're going to do a wire wrap bead to put on the end of a chain for the extender chain. So we're going to put the bead as on the head pin. We're going to loop up and over. We're going to top to bottom. We're going to make the loop. We're going to get the extender chain, which is a cute little heart chain. Loop it through the heart chain. Right, get our bent chain nose pliers, hold the loop and the chain out the way. We're going to get our wrapping pliers, our chain nose pliers, and we are going to wrap down towards the bead. I'm using a lighter gauged head pin here, so which is a little harder to wrap with. So I was using 18 gauge before. I'm using 23 gauge here. We'll check the bead solid. Right, and cut off the remaining wire. Making sure you don't cut the chain. And push in any excess wire. So there we go. Then we've got 2 jump rings. So we've got a large 10mm jump ring. Oh, where's me Zora runs? There they are. I've worn my Zora runs for opening jump rings because they don't slip. That's why I prefer my Zora runs for jump rings. So we're going to gather the large jump ring and the loop, and then we're going to close up that jump ring, making sure it's well closed, and lay that back down. So they're together. Then we're going to get a smaller jump ring, which is a 6mm jump ring. Find the closure on it, which is there. Get our pliers. And always open a jump ring by like that, never out. Get our large jump ring that's just pulled everything together. Hook it through and hook the chain onto that. And close that jump ring, and make sure you close it very well, because if it's a very fine chain you're using for your extender chain, it can sneak out. I'm just going to check my other jump ring because it felt like it wasn't closed properly. No, it's not, because I'm too far away from it. And I don't want my other jump ring sneaking out of that. There we go. So now we're going to do the other end. Alright, we're going to do the other end of the dangle. Because as you can see, this is a short bracelet. So now we're going to put some beads on this end with some bead caps, right, and some spacers as well. So I'm missing the bead cap, so give me a second. It seems to have gone walkabouts. Oh no, I found it. So that one shouldn't be on there. Right, so on this one we're going to have 2 spacer beads on either side of the bead caps. On this one we're just going to have bead caps. So let's put the bead caps on along with the bead and another bead cap. Right. Then we're going to get our pliers, and we're going to have everything going the same way, and just chomp down, and then we're going to use our finger as our measuring tool. I'm going to measure 1/4 inch. Then we are going to roll back towards the bead. There we go. Then we're going to do the same on this one, except for we're going to put a spacer bead on. We're going to put a bead cap on, facing up. We're going to put a rose quartz, a bead cap facing down towards the bead, and a spacer bead on. Then again, we are going to have it going the same way as the other loop. Bend, put it against our finger, measure 1/4 inch, and roll it back towards the bead. And there we go. So now we are going to Connect the one loop to the finding by opening it up, getting the finding, looping it onto the finding and closing it back up really tightly with a good wiggle. And making sure it's fully closed. Then we're going to get our next one. Open up the loop. Attach it to a previous loop. And close it back up. Right. So we've got that. Then we're going to use, before we do that, we're going to put together our little dangle. But we've got to wrap a single bead first. So we've got a single bead which we have to wrap. So we've got one bead. So again, bend the wire over the pliers. I'm using again the 23 gauge here. Right, so up and over, turn bottom to top. Turn bottom to top and underneath. Grab our bent chain nose pliers to hold onto the loop. Grab our chain nose pliers to wrap with. As you'll notice, I don't wrap with my Zorons. I find these pliers were a lot easier to wrap with, and they were the very first pair of pliers I ever owned. Alright, and then wrap down towards the bead. Right, sometimes you'll find it's not the most expensive pliers you find easiest to use. Sometimes it's the cheaper pliers you find easier to use. I've been watching Code Black. I don't know if any of you have watched it on Disney Plus, but I find it really interesting. Right, and you'll bear in mind, I've watched them all. I've watched Grey's Anatomy. I've watched Private Practice. I've watched The Resident. I've watched Station 19. If it's a medical show, like I even watched like Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. I've watched all the Law and Orders. Right. If it's any one of them, I've watched it. I can guarantee it. So, and believe me, it's good. So what I'm saying to you, it's good. It's good. So let's put this cluster together. So we need to find the opening. Let me move this bracelet up because it's really interfering with my clarity on my camera. Alright. So let's find the opening. Open the jump ring. And put on just one dangle and close it back up. So we only want the one. Right? Then get your next jump ring. And on this jump ring we're going to put two on, along with the previous jump ring. So get your jump ring. Put your jump ring on, put one bead on one side, one bead on the other side. This bracelet is going to be a danglicious bracelet. So if you don't like a lot of dangles, this bracelet definitely isn't for you. So let's put this down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread out my dangles from side to side so I know where my jump ring is. So now I'm going to find the gap in my jump ring. Turn the pliers round, scoop up my jump ring, one dangle on one side, oh sorry, off camera, one dangle on one side, one dangle on the other side, and then I'm going to close up my jump ring. Then again, I'm going to grab my dangles on either side and I'm going to lay my cluster down. Then I'm going to find my last jump ring. Right, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to scoop up my cluster. I'm going to put one dangle on one side and I'm going to put one dangle on the other side, and then I'm going to close up my jump ring. Alright, then I'm going to put my beads out to the side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this back in and I'm going to get my 6mm jump ring. I am going to find the gap in my 6mm jump ring. I'm going to scoop up my cluster. I'm going to attach it to my bracelets. And I'm going to attach my clasp to the same jump ring and close. And that is the end of the making of this bracelet. So let me zoom out a bit so I can show you this bracelet in full, laid out flat, and then I will, let me get this straight, then I will put it into a circle. So this is it in full with all the dangles laying down flat. So you've got all your little dangles, you've got your top strand, you've got a little bit here connecting and your cluster, you've got your chain, and then you can clasp it up and you've got a beautiful double strand cha-cha bracelets. So I hope you enjoyed the making of this cha-cha bracelet. Subscribers, new subscribers and people that just popped in to watch, if you could please like, comment, share and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are notified when I release new videos or go live, I would be grateful. And please remember that you are who you are and you should never change that, because you should be proud of who you are. And thank you again for watching today, and I'll see you again soon.